Hello, Javier. It is
Hey.
a great pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Basia. It's a pleasure to have you here.
You are PharmaMar's Chief Medical Officer, Javier. Tell us a little bit about what's unique about PharmaMar.
Yes, thank you. PharmaMar is a pioneer Spanish biopharmaceutical company, worldwide leader in discovery, development, and commercialization of oncology treatment from marine origin. Our therapeutic platform is the sea. Considering that the sea covers 75% of the planet and 80% of living beings, PharmaMar hypothesized that in the sea we could find a valid treatment for option for cancer. And this hypothesis has been confirmed with 3 compounds approved for 4 different diseases: soft tissue sarcoma, ovarian cancer, multiple myeloma, and small cell lung cancer.
This is so fascinating because where others look for drug candidates among molecules that are found on land or even attempt to design molecules, you're looking for solutions to cancer in the sea, the place of the origin of life. So, speaking of this idea that treatments are discovered and then developed, it is a very difficult and arduous process. Why is that?
New drug development is a long and expensive process that could take 12 to 15 years and require a significant investment. The direct cost of a trial can range from $40 to more than $100 million. And when the cost of capital and failure are included, oncology drug development costs, it could be about $1.2 billion. And it's also very important to consider that the exclusivity time that is granted by patent is only 20 years, leaving a very short period of time to recover the investment. Additionally, you think even although PharmaMar has been very successful in bringing new candidates to market, on average, only 3-4% of drug candidates will complete all clinical trial phase successfully, gain regulatory and market access approval, and be sold as medicine. And this context explains why it's so important the collaboration between authorities, pharmaceutical industry, and patients to accelerate drug development and access of new medicine to patients, in particular in oncology, where time for patients is really, really critical. In this line, regulations should really value and support the research effort, reducing bureaucracy, accelerating timelines, and facilitating patient access to innovative medicine. But also pharma industry should do things differently. We should leverage new technologies like artificial intelligence to improve decision-making, reduce failure, and optimize resource allocation.
Thank you so much for this comprehensive overview, and it's so eye-opening. And clearly, for years, organizations have been trying to make this process easier, more feasible, more predictable, less costly, and ultimately shorter, because as you mentioned, the goal is to bring treatments to patients faster. You and I met back in the summer of 2024, and you had a very clear vision about how to address some of these challenges with emerging technologies. Can you tell us a little bit about that vision?
Yeah, so the reality is that PharmaMar has been working in research and development of new oncology medicine from marine origin for almost 40 years and generating a vast amount of internal, preclinical, and clinical knowledge, both in terms of our compounds, but also about the disease that we are trying to treat. And at the same time, the external knowledge continues growing at an exponential pace, evolving the clinical development and patient management landscape faster than ever. And in this context, it's critical for our scientists at PharmaMar to make the right data-driven decision at every clinical development step. We need to have the right dose, the right schedule, the right tumor type, the right combination, right population where to apply our treatment, right study design, etc. Everything, all the steps really need to be done in the most proper way. And at the same time, accelerate cycle time for every activity. And in order to be able to achieve this objective, require immediate and accurate access to our cumulative knowledge, as well as to updated external knowledge from biomedical literature and agencies. And in this area, we need to move from what can probably go wrong to what can probably go right. Because if we can really make better decisions, implement them faster and more efficiently, and increase the success rate, we can bring more medicine faster to patients. So we decided to initiate a project to generate a co-scientist that will make knowledge available to our scientists in real time.
This was such a forward-looking vision back then in 2024, because you already thought about some of the ideas that are only now beginning to emerge in the industry. And you've made this vision a reality. You have built a solution that reflects the vision. Of course, at Globant, we are very excited to have had the opportunity to help you do that. But it is a realization of your vision. Can you tell us a little bit about how the solution works?
With your support and with Globant Enterprise AI, we have created a multi-agent system framework that initially focused in two key areas. One is an insight agent that allows scientists across different departments, from preclinical, clinical, regulatory, market access, medical affairs, commercial, to interrogate in real time or internal data sources and external data sources. So everybody have access to the same information and real time and accurate in this area. This will allow our scientists to understand any previous experience or results with our compounds in different situations, different scenarios, patient population, as well as integrate external information on particular tumor types, lines of treatment, regulatory or market access decision from external agencies, unmet medical need, cost of trial, everything that will be required to make the right decision. But also additionally, and in particular for our clinical development team, another AI agent allows to provide an integrated view of the level of evidence that is available, supporting the development of our compounds in different schemes, different combinations, and individual tumor types and lines of treatment, reducing the uncertainty in the decision-making and increasing the probability of success of our trial, and making this available for prioritizing those opportunities among thousands of different opportunities really quick. And the next phase of the project is expanding to implement different AI agents that will help with areas like document consistency check, document generation, subgroup analysis, hypothesis generation of multi-document comparisons.
Thank you for that, Javier. And clearly, there is a large volume of data that you're tapping into to enable this solution. But when you talk about the different agents connecting to the data and extracting information, and researchers being able to interact with the data directly, it almost sounds simple. And you also alluded to the fact that this is a multi-phase initiative, which means that it is a non-trivial effort. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you have come across since you have launched the initiative.
Yes, implementing a project like this requires really solving several challenges. First one is align internally in the company about the objective and deliverables of the project. And this has been achieved by senior leadership support to the project and multiple collaboration with all the different departments to secure alignment. But once this is done, the next challenge, really, and probably one of the most difficult, is to identify and integrate the internal data that is available in the company. You know that most of the data usually in different settings with different departments. But one of the advantages of PharmaMar was the collaborative approach to share data across departments and our close collaboration with our IT development to make it possible. Also, we have to align the Globant technology with our internal technology to make the project sustainable in time and not just one-time solution that is created in isolation without taking into account all the different technological requirements to make it successful within the company. Another important challenge for a research and development company is about securing the intellectual property and data protection, making sure that our internal data and knowledge doesn't leave the company premise. And in this area, working very closely with our IT department, we define the appropriate data management strategy and governance. And additionally, ensuring accuracy of the results and avoiding hallucination, working with Global to train the system step by step, validating the answer versus the original data sources, and creating the rules to avoid the tendency to generate an answer even in absence of information.
Yes, you've mentioned several factors that are often cited as reasons for why AI adoption in the real world in life sciences continues to be slow. You talked about cross-functional collaboration, about data integrations, identification of the right technologies, and of course, considerations for data security and accuracy of output. Interestingly, we have recently collaborated with the MIT Technology Review on a report that analyzed the state of agentic AI in pharma. And we learned that while almost 3/4 of organizations are piloting agentic AI in life sciences, only 7% of use cases are in full production. And one of the reasons that organizations are so slow in actually deploying and adapting these solutions is that in many cases, there is still lack of clear ROI. So I'm curious, what value have you seen your solution deliver so far, or what signs of value, what signals do you see it will deliver soon?
Yes, we have that very much in mind when we started the project, and we decided to focus initially in delivering meaningful results that could be measured rapidly instead of the potentially more important and more impactful long-term gains that will take time to evaluate and that sometimes are the barrier to implementing. So we have seen quick value creation in the accuracy of insight based on internal knowledge, being able to respond to any question from our scientists without the need to read hundreds of internal documents and reports, and without the risk of internal document being uploaded to external AI solutions. So this has been validated by each of the departments participating in the project by generating questions to be solved by the solution and validating that the answers that are provided are accurate. Additionally, this has been an impact on the speed of the insight generation, being able to respond in real time to questions in which the information is already available, avoiding mistake and accelerating cycle time.
Well, congratulations on the job well done. And I think this ability to show quick wins before long-term value is realized is critical to build internal confidence within the business that the investment will in fact bear fruit. We at Globant are very excited that PharmaMar has selected us as the technology partner on this journey. What made you decide to work with us?
Yes. When we started the conversation, it was pretty clear that PharmaMar required a tailored approach to adapt to our technology and our culture of working in PharmaMar. And Global was flexible enough to work in building a PharmaMar solution based on Globant Enterprise AI, but flexible to be tailored to our needs. Globant Enterprise AI allow us to accelerate the building of the PharmaMar AI agentic capabilities while securing protection of PharmaMar data and intellectual property. And probably those were the two key initial, more important objectives for us.
So what's next for PharmaMar or on your journey to agentic AI?
As mentioned previously, we continue deploying the agents that we have been building, and now we are in the journey to build and deploy different additional AI agents. Document consistency check to secure that our documents, for example, for regulatory submission, are consistent across the full document. Generation of new documents that like protocol or IVs or other different important documents for the company and the team, securing that will reduce the workload for our team. Subgroup analysis, being able to analyze and different subgroup, and helping on that also generate almost instant hypothesis generation. Multi-document comparison so that we can secure that the information in multiple documents that are required even for implementation of a clinical trial have exactly the same information. So our objective is to move from mainly an insight generation approach to a more predictive modeling and efficiency increase.
Yeah, this is a very far-reaching and inspiring proposition, and it nicely demonstrates how to scale AI in enterprise, from assistants that are helping users to access insights faster, all the way to predictive capabilities that allow you to model different scenarios in support of decision-making. So truly an impressive vision. I have one last question for you, Javier. With the experience that you have now had building agentic AI, how do you think these emerging technologies will transform the life sciences industry in the coming years?
Yes, I say that this technology is going to be integrated as a critical additional tool across all the different steps in the full product life cycle in order to accelerate the development and access of new medicine to patients. I see agentic AI as going to be integrated in the day-to-day of almost everyone working in life science, almost in the same way that we have computers today as integral part of the day-to-day. Everyone working in this environment will be using one or more AI agents that will help delivering the day-to-day activities and tasks faster, but also having real-time access to billions of data points will improve the accuracy of the research and the decision-making and the development process, increasing the probability of success, increasing at the end the number of medicine that we bring to patients. That is our final objectives.
Thank you, Javier. A real pleasure speaking with you again. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Lots of work ahead and also a lot to look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Basia. It has been a pleasure.